Most people don't need a new life. They need a few hours where life feels real again. For the first time in a really long time, things are aligning themselves in my life. I recently started a job with a German motorcycle magazine, filming and writing for them, and also I am going back to uni next month after dropping out about 3 years ago. And the last few years have been spent working really hard on trying to make this channel work, also with financing it with a job on the side, and then for some time exclusively focusing on the channel. And now with these things developing and also me finding a new routine, I think it's nice to talk about something that can give you a bit of a break from the stress of work, the stress of private life, and all the things that are sometimes going on in the world, and that is micro adventures. My routine often can look like this: filming, editing, and in between emails. And those can especially be a thorn in my side. Somewhere along the way, time starts moving differently. Weeks blur together, months disappear, not because nothing happens, but because everything feels the same. It's important to occasionally break the mold from that kind of stuff, and very often on social media, basically big adventures are promoted. Also, like here on my channel with me doing like content productions crossing the Himalayas, and these things look really impressive and cool on camera, but truth be told, that one in specific was actually quite tough to film on location and also a nightmare in the post-production. And when doing these things exclusively for the enjoyment of it, these kind of big trips can hit a point of diminishing return relatively quick, and very often a smaller palate cleanser can be a lot more effective at enjoying life. In contrast, with Europe currently being completely drenched in snow, I had a little adventure that only took an afternoon. Despite my city being hit by a blizzard, I decided to go surfing in -5 degrees and in the strong winds. For that, I had to make my way through the challenging road conditions with a car that was not made for it and face the cold water. But the reward was so worth it, overcoming the obstacles and the discomfort. This was actually my first time landing a drop-in from the wall, and just the joy surfing with the snow around and having little parts of snow hit your face. I ended up actually having so much fun with this wonderful experience that I ignored the stinging pain of my suit having ripped open, leaving me with frostbite on my butt cheek. And truth be told, this little micro adventure improved my happiness and quality of life far more than any big trip ever could. Small adventures can be a variety of different things, but one thing I really like using for getting that kind of experience are motorcycles. In specific, older motorcycles really often can give you a really special feeling. Often it's little imperfections that our brain misinterprets as a sense of being, often referred to as character. Just getting out of the mundane routine and enjoying the thrill of exploring the surrounding of my city on a 40-year-old performance machine. I think the reason these experiences are so enjoyable is all the little hurdles that turn into little successes. That's what micro adventures are. This is the bike with the old carburetors managed to start. And all the little things like adjusting the choke and the idle to the temperature. And if things don't work out, overcoming these little challenges, it's a good lesson in taking a loss every once in a while in life, which is something that needs to be learned as well. This is also one of the beautiful things about micro adventures, because the enjoyment really often leads not in the goal but in the way to achieve it, and that in many ways can make them pretty counter to consumer culture, opening it up to a lot of people. When I really wanted a fast, sporty motorcycle, I did not have the budget for one, and I then just looked, what can I do? What can be the fix for this situation here? And I looked on the used market, found a cheap one that was not running, figured out the challenge of how am I even going to transport this motorcycle, and then started fixing it. And fixing a motorcycle is always like, I fix a motorcycle. If you don't know how that's done, then it's like you're very quickly out of your depth. And that's the same situation that I found myself, and I knew nothing about fixing a motorcycle. But then figuring that slowly out and having the successes and also the moments where I didn't know what to do and was just cursing over the thing over the whole winter with limited means in my garage made the experience a lot more enjoyable, and also gave me a very different connection to the machine than if I would have just bought my way to the goal. And it's something that I can tell myself that I'm proud of, that I have done that I bought this bike that I really wanted and made it work for myself, and I really managed to create a little experience that I always got to go to my garage and then go back, continue my normal life, building this in the process. In many ways, experiencing the one or other micro-adventure can also teach you to approach things differently, because it basically frees your mind of many learned constraints. Many people experience themselves through buying stuff, and apart from the obvious mental health downsides, so many things have gotten just so expensive in recent time, and also when strolling through a mall, I'm really often overwhelmed and feel like I can't do anything here, I can't buy per se or experience anything here because everything is either really expensive or I just don't need it, and then it's really overwhelming. And in many ways I sometimes end up feeling radicalized by TK Maxx and Urban Outfitters. A day in the woods or a camping night with friends can also show you that the things you would need for a theoretically bigger adventure are often the things you already have. In my opinion, the term microadventure can also be seen from a financial standpoint. With one of my favorite pastimes being motorcycle riding, when it came to big tours, I very quickly realized I don't need all the fancy gear, I don't need a big adventure bike. The things I do have that I ride around town with also work on a big trip, making this big trip all of a sudden a lot more attainable and a lot more possible, which is a perspective that would not be possible without trying this one out in the small and basically opening up the gate to the world with that. And even though this approach opens up the gates to bigger adventures, I think the sweet spot is in between an afternoon and 3 to 4 days. It's a lot nicer doing those more often than one big trip. And also, you would be surprised how much is possible in 3 to 4 days. In 4 days, I rode my motorcycle from Darmstadt all the way to Monaco, through Switzerland and Italy, and I didn't have any plan for accommodation or anything, so I just wild camped and found quite nice spots on the way that I got surprised by, like this beautiful view at the Rhine, where I also met some nice people that I shared some fire and some food with. Also, the smallest acts of going out of your routine count. If it's for you just taking a walk, I think that's perfectly fine, and just little things like trying out a new hobby can give you so much. However, one thing regarding all these things is I think really important, and that is separating this from your work and also from your reachability over your phone. Because kind of the curse of our times that we constantly are available on our phones to who we work for, and that sometimes can be a lot. So, and also like sometimes life is a lot from work and also like privately, and sometimes you're in difficult situations that can be really depressing. Life is sometimes hard, and it's really good to be able to separate yourself from that for a moment and say to yourself, I'm enjoying this activity for that moment. Also, partially what inspired this video at the moment is really a lot of things in the world right now stop making sense, and a lot of structures of how we work and how we make money and how power is structured in our society are currently stop making sense more and more, and it leads to a cognitive dissonance in many ways, and I think it's okay to occasionally get a break from that and go outside. Giving yourself a micro adventure every once in a while doesn't just make you enjoy life more, it also slows down time, because instead of time just passing along on a calendar and you're thinking back to the different months, you think back to the different things that you did. And even after something special that you did is already over, you carry that energy into the rest of your life and experience a lot of things a lot more consciously. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and now put down your phone and go outside and do something good for yourself. And definitely like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments what kind of micro adventures you experienced recently.